Hi, I'm Aaron of grade 9 Mendelib in MCA Montessori School, and today we are discussing how to solve the quadratic equation through the use of the quadratic formula. Let's get started. Now, where's the marker? In case you didn't know, quadratic equations are basically equations of the second degree, meaning it contains at least one squared term. In algebra, quadratic equations are usually represented with a general form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where the x represents unknown variables and a, b, and c represent known numbers. In quad equations, you also have to remember this one main rule. That rule being that the first constant a cannot be 0, because if it was, it would rather be a linear equation and not a quadratic equation. In every equation, there's always a formula based around it. In quadratic equations, they have the quadratic formula. While there are many other ways of solving quad equations, the quadratic formula is often the most convenient. This formula has the equation of x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. The advantage this formula has over the other solutions is that whether or not a quadratic equation is factorable or not, as long as it's done right, it will always work and it will always give a direct answer. Alright, so before I demonstrate how to solve the equations, I have to give a reminder first. Before solving, always refer to the quadratic equation in standard form. Specifically, all the x terms should be in the left side and all should be equal to 0. If you forget this, you'll probably get the wrong answer. So always keep watch. Here we have a quadratic equation, that being negative 1x squared plus 2x plus 24 equals 0. Yes, I forgot my blue marker. Moving on. So the thing you gotta do first is to find the a, b, and c. That being negative 1 for a, negative 1 for a, 2 for b, and 24 for c. After that, place them in the iconic formula. So, since a is negative 1, just write here in this spot, negative 1. So, yeah, x is equal to negative b2. So, negative 2 plus or minus square root of b squared being 2 squared minus 4 times negative 1, c, 24, and all over 2a, which is 2 times negative 1. After that, all you gotta do now is simplify the formula as much through basic operations. So the first thing to do, at least the first thing I'm gonna do, is simplify the square root. So yeah, write the same thing over again, but change the square root. So, square root. So yeah, the square root is 2 squared right here. And 2 squared is simply 4. And then we have negative 4 multiplied by negative 1, which is equal to positive 4. Times 24 makes it 96, or positive 96. And lastly, add that to 4 again, making, guess what? 100, obviously. And then after that, 2 times negative 1 equals negative 2. So, after simplifying the numbers in the square root and outside square root because of negative 2, yeah, let's actually square the number inside. So, square root of 100, let me make it clear, it's 10. Because if you multiply 10 to itself, it's equal to 100. So, the square root of 100 is 10. So, yeah, that gives us an answer of negative 2 plus or minus 10 all over negative 2. Alright, so we solved the square root. What else should we do, you must say? Well, if you notice all the terms, they all have a common factor of negative 2. Because of that, this proves that the equation can still be simplified by dividing all the terms by negative 2, which they all have in common with. So what to do here is that you copy the same formula, but divide them all by -2. So just kind of do this. 10 over -2, and also -2 over -2. So with simple solving, you can prove that these two, -2 divided by -2, is equal to 1 plus or minus -5 for 10 and -2, and another 1. After that, focus on the plus or minus sign. This sign right here is a really important thing in solving this entire equation. Because you see, in quadratic equations, there should always be two solutions or answers, no matter what. If there isn't, you're probably doing something wrong. So, with this plus and minus sign, it gives two possible equations. One with 1 plus -5 over 1, and the other being 1 minus -5 over 1. So, to finally end this simplifying madness, for your last step, just solve the two equations individually. So just solve these two, all by themselves, individually for your two answers. So yeah, for the first equation, we have 1 plus -5. This is equal to, obviously, -4 over 1. And since dividing 1 always ends up in a similar number, it just ends up as -4. And in the other equation, 1 minus -5, that answer is simply +6. And +6 over 1 is, well, 6. So finally, we place our answers. With x1, specifically for the plus, we have -4, and x squared, specifically for the minus part of the segment, we have +6. Here we have two values of this quadratic equation. We use the quadratic formula, and because of it, we finally got our two answers. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something great from this.